And so we're going to ask them to come to the stage. We're going to ask them to come to the stage and be seated. Spex D Boss, Shauni Kulture, Shauni B, Papa Keith, and Kerwin Bollers. Hosted by our very own Captain Collin Hines. Scene. Round of applause for our panel, guys.
It's on. Yeah. Gentlemen, welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I remember when a young artist bleached outside the studios, and he made his way inside the yard. Somehow managed to get his voice on tape. Somebody heard it. Said, hold on. That recording made its way to Shauni B. Shauni B played, Youth Boss playing a tech. I remember when the DJ got the test press, got the record, played it in the clubs. The first place you heard that song, in the club. I remember when brick and mortar radio broadcast houses were king. Does that still remain? The youngster who is now about to embark on the journey of becoming a superstar, the status of our very own Richard Orville Shaggy Burrell, who incorporated the old school and now uses the new school tools to maintain his stardom and to still churn out hit records. What type of journey is he going to embark on as far as employing media to get him to that next level? What is media? The broadcast house or the social media house or that matrix which resides on the device or the screen you're looking at behind the keyboard? We're going to talk about all those things, gentlemen. Let's broaden our minds. Remember the movie there? Batman, yeah. Starting with this gentleman on my right. Introductions.
Good afternoon. Shauni B from BBC Radio 1 Extra. Been a broadcaster for over 25 years and odd. Also a radio producer and many other things. Greetings.
Bless. Yeah, Shauni Kulture, culture movement, no disrespect, non-profit, and Hot 97 morning show personality for the past 17 years, and being an ambassador of the Caribbean culture for Hot 97 on the morning show.
Papa Keith, 103.5 The Beat in Miami, iHeartRadio nationally. I've been doing it for 20 years in South Florida, originally from New York. Thank you so much for having me here.
Spex from Toronto, Canada, Flow 98.7 FM. Also King Turbo Sounds, radio announcer, producer, and been in the business and radio broadcasting in Toronto for over 28 years now. And the only reggae show and drive show that plays reggae and dancehall music on commercial radio in all of Canada. And bridging also with Bridge 99. So I broadcast from Toronto to Jamaica. You guys might hear me in Jamaica. And also I do a link up with New York with DJ Roy from Irie Jam Radio from Toronto, broadcasting in both New York and Toronto same way. So a lot of little things here and there. We'll talk about it in a few.
Yeah. Good day. My name is Kerwin Bollers from Guyana, representing 94.1 Boom FM and 104.3 Boom FM in Guyana. I've been in radio for about 15 years. I started as a DJ originally and then transitioned into being a part owner of 2 radio stations and 1 television station. And I also run an events company that does probably 90% of the major concerts in Guyana. Yeah.
All right. And me, I'm Collin Hines, broadcaster, DJ, music director for RGR Communications Group. Formalities out of the way. So, all right, so let's look at this from the perspective of a young artist or an artist. What is his first step in terms of how does he incorporate media in? I believe that the first step is getting known. So let's start from there, Shauni. We want to drill down on some of the core fundamentals that he has to bear in mind, because it's a lot. There are a whole heap of things, a whole heap of tools out there. What are the basic steps that he's going to have to cover? The things he needs to do to use these tools to get him to where he needs to be. So first, getting known. How does he get known?
I'm certain that the rest of the guys on the panel, that we get sent music, like ridiculous amounts of music, on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, to be quite honest with you. For me, I always tell artists, rather than focus on some of what I call the tastemakers in each region, is to kind of focus on some of the smaller DJs in your region, to focus on the sound systems in your region, to focus on your family and your friends as well. Because I always think that to get my attention, just like some of the guys from the DSPs were saying, to get my attention, create that smoke. Because if I see a smoke or a bonfire going on over there, I may walk to that direction to see what I go on. You get what I'm saying? It's not every day that I'm going to wake up and give a younger artist that opportunity, even though I have made my name for doing that and being out in the streets of Jamaica especially. But if I see that traction that is building, especially now with so much music getting released on a daily and weekly basis, you have to be able to have that fan base ready-made, ready to go, for me to look at it and be like, okay, that's what's going on. It's like one in a million chances sometimes that I may just find a record just for the sake of finding a record. As a young artist, it's very difficult. Like when I put up my email address for people to send in their music on my IG, I get over like 100 in one day straight away. And it's hard to be able to go through all that music. So when you have created that traction, created that smoke for yourself, it's easier for me to see that.
So in this current dispensation, though, should we and are we his first step or his go-to?
I don't believe so right now. Not as a radio DJ. I could talk for myself. I don't think that I should. I love the fact if I am that first place, because then I could take the props for that. I'm me, bossy. I'm me, Senegal Road. You get what I'm saying? But I believe, like, if I see one of these generals playing your music and I don't know your name, I'm going to kind of investigate. So if Spex is in Canada and that's his region, if I see Spex playing a Canadian artist, I'm going to call Spex and be like, yo, go on. Or if even likewise, if I have a UK artist and that's like creating that fire from the UK for the international DJs to be able to see, then I can send it on like that. So it's kind of like just finding your own little village of people and getting them to help push you.
So create that smoke means
100%.
Come up with content that is media engaging.
And people talking about you.
Shauni K.
Let me jump in on that, because as an aspiring artist, there was a time when your talent was the main thing, right? So you tried to cut a cassette tape maybe back in the day, cut a demo, and you was trying to figure out who was of importance that you could get this tape to, and they would hear the quality of your music and potentially give you a contract. But that is not really the situation anymore. Now you have social media, which is making the record labels lazy, right? So they don't have to see if you have talent. Your talent really doesn't matter to them as much, because they're now signing people who don't have talent, but have the numbers. Right? So they're looking at your social media to see what your numbers look like, because at this point they call it like the Wild West, where everybody have a gun. Right? It was a time where the big companies was the one with the artillery, but now everybody have ammunition to make something happen. So if you have the power in your hands and you can generate attention on your own, then these labels are looking to see, all right, well, are your friends sharing your material? Are your friends liking your material? A lot of artists come to me and I ask them the same question and they'll say like, well, my friends are haters, yo. You know what I'm saying? Listen, if the music is good, people are gonna share it. Right? And it's going to resonate and it's going to create the smoke that Shauni B was talking about.
So Papa, should his first objective be the new media house?
100%. I think we should be almost last. No, I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm going to be real with you because, like he just said, radio should be that stamp of approval because the radio game is about repetitiveness. You know what I mean? So we should be the stamp of approval. The first step, you know what? When it changed for me is when Sean Kingston had his song. And we didn't know how he got discovered other than YouTube. You understand? A record producer or someone went on YouTube, heard him, Justin Bieber, all of them. They got found on YouTube. And that changed the game from that point, you know, to where social media now became the platform for discovering. They even have something in Instagram right now, discovery page. You know what I mean? We don't have discovery. We may have a one feature on our programs or even in the whole radio station that gives a new artist a look, but you know, that's so minuscule in the big picture.
Specs?
It's kind of divided for me personally because I understand the social media aspect and having to get out there and it gets you out there quicker and maybe you think in trend and hashtag and, you know, people will repost and all this, that, next and the other. But I also see the grassroots part of it going back to, you know what I mean, the DJs them, the radio DJs them, the sound, the selectors, you know, the people them that were influencing it before social media. Because if you look now to me, and as I said, this is my personal opinion, but some of our biggest artists in reggae and dancehall, I'll talk about specifically right now. You know, the last major artists, them that released albums that were supposed to be doing good, that are top tier artists in the genre of reggae and dancehall music, basically flopped. And the reason why, my personal opinion again, is because they're not doing it the grassroots way. There was a time when the sound, the selectors, and the radio DJs them had this relationship with the artists them and the producers them. So the producers them would, you know, feature, they'd build the rhythm in the song and all that, then they'd bring it to the radio DJs them, the sound selectors them. You know, we'd bust it up in the underground and the dance halls and the clubs and all that. But if they want to take it a step further, they'd cut them on dub plates them for the actual top DJs and sounds and selectors and the sounds that are clashing just to get more, you know, run on the song before it actually really breaks out to the masses, then before the masses them can even purchase the songs them. And by the time it's available for it to be purchased, it's already a hit. You know, people are buying it. But now artists them feel, okay, they're too big. They have 100,000, 200,000, 1 million, 2 million people, all 3 million followers on Instagram, this, that, next, and the other. And then when they release the album, only 2,500 sell, 3,000 sell. You know what I mean? So I understand the part of the social media, but it doesn't work for everyone and anyone. I think social media more works for the newer artists them than the established artists them. My personal opinion.
Well, you know what's interesting? I've heard my 8-year-old daughter singing a classic from the 80s. And I'm like, you're 8. What are you doing singing from 1979, singing And the Beat Goes On by The Whisper? TikTok, Daddy. So I put it on the car radio, and she's lost until it reached the part. Also said to me at the same time, no matter how old an artist you are, you need to incorporate these tools.
But that's that smoke.
That's that
smoke that I'm talking about.
For an aged artist, your stuff can get used on these platforms, and this is how kids discover you. So I know as a radio practitioner, it bruised my ego to think that we are only singing background vocals right now. But if I were going to advise a kid, what's the first step? Create that smoke. And you have to create enough, create it repeatedly, because radio is really and truly now, Shauni, I believe, for reinforcement.
I can guarantee none of us played We Rung the Ground, Nudge, before it bust on
Before
TikTok.
it bust on YouTube.
Guarantee.
Yeah.
And it's a UK youth that produced the original. And he sent me the original.
Thoughts, Kerwin?
And it's when it busts on TikTok, I'm going to play it.
I agree with most of what was said. I would say to a new artist, use every single avenue that is available. I think in the panel that was just here, YouTube and Pandora and all of them, I think what was one of the takeaway that I got is that one platform or one avenue may not be enough. The good thing about now is that you have so many options, and a lot of these options are free as well. And a lot of them are options where you can do yourself. You know, back in the days, I know artists will pay guys to go into the streets and drop out CDs and so forth and so forth. Once you have great internet connection, you can do all of this by yourself, you know? Use every single avenue. Like, for instance, on the radio, sometimes you get sent a song that is trending on TikTok. Sometimes you get sent a song that is trending in a different part of the country or a different country or whatever it is. Somebody might send you, like the DJ said, yo, this song is hot, you know? I remember one time this Morgan Heritage song that came out, and it was pushing on all the push carts in Guyana. I don't know if you guys have push carts here, but every push cart, you was hearing this song. It was not on radio, but it was on every push cart. And that song went straight into rotation because of that. So, I mean, if you talk to 100 artists, I think each and every one of them will have a different success story as to how they got to where they are. So I don't think there's one formula, so to speak. And I always say to artists, like, if you go to university and you study to be a lawyer, chances are once you pass the board exam, you will be a lawyer. But it's not the same in music. There's no guarantee that if you go to a music school, at the end of that, you're going to be a successful artist. You know what I mean? So use every single opportunity that is there and try to anticipate what's going to be the next hot thing. You know, I just learned something again on the panel before about W3 or something like that, whatever it is. I got to go research. But anticipate what's going to be the next movement. You know, I know people who went on TikTok way before TikTok got popular, and they were able to ramp up their numbers when TikTok got popular. So anticipate what's going to be the next avenue and jump on that as well.
As a practitioner, I believe that the traditional media should not be ignored. I don't know what the feeling is on this panel. Is it dead? Is it on life support? Is it redundant?
Not being utilized.
When you say traditional media, what's that?
The broadcast house. Radio.
All right.
Where we
Basics.
all work.
Back to the basics.
Yep.
But should the kid starting out prioritize broadcast radio as part of his set of tools?
I don't think the younger generation fully understand radio because it's not their medium for the way they choose to listen to music as such.
Right.
I feel that radio is an older format, but I still feel that it's a necessary format. When I listen to radio as a consumer, I don't feel that I get from radio what I really want from radio. I don't get from radio that information that I used to get back in the day. If I listen to somebody like a David Rodigan or whatever, who's somebody that I grew up listening to, you'll know who had the BSC on the rhythm, who was the engineer, which studio, like Billa, and you get that supplementary information. And that's what I try to bring to my radio show. I feel that we're not broadcasting in the way that we should be broadcasting. I feel like a lot of the younger DJs, and this may just sound like I'm just going at them, but we have to talk the facts. I mean, the truth. I feel like there's a lot of mixers, but there's not presenters. Do you get what I'm saying? I set up interviews sometimes for different artists. Big up Gramps, that's in there. About a couple of years ago, I did an interview session with him at my studio, and there was about 5-6 different people that came through that was doing interviews. I was disgraced at the standard. Like Mojo walked out of the studio, like Shauni, this I go on. I was really disgraced. I don't feel that people respect the art of radio, and there is an art of radio. That's the thing. And if you are going to go into it, it's not just about mixing records and firing off sound effects and all the rest of it. You have to use it as a medium to be able to connect with your audience, especially during COVID. I fell back in love with radio big time because people at home and they were listening. You get what I'm saying? And why I don't feel that the younger artists really respect radio is because I've watched lately, and going off of what you've said, Specs, about album sales and all the rest of it, and we've spoken about this, there's a lot of our stars in this music that refuse flat out to do interviews.
And jingles.
Flat out.
That they refuse to do what?
Do interviews.
Facts.
And I have to talk about these kind of things because it's a learnt behavior. Because now, if them see artist XYZ behave, sir, that's the way that me have to behave then. Because I saw my thing set. And I feel no way to say, like, I haven't interviewed Popcorn in God knows how long. I haven't interviewed Shensia in God knows how long. I haven't interviewed Alkaline in God knows how long. I think I was one of the only people that interviewed Skeng. Massacre, when he dropped his album, I didn't get to interview him. And if you are going to leave your career...
Was that to his disadvantage?
I believe it was to a disadvantage because if you leave it up to the vloggers that they're not broadcasters and they're not built in the way that we are, not all of them, but if you leave that to the vloggers to be able to put out a certain message about your music and who you are as an artist, and you know that sometimes these vloggers, they don't have the same guidelines that we have and the editorial that we have and things that we have to work alongside. So some of the things that may be coming out may not be quite right and to the point, and you leave it down to them. And if you've got a great set of broadcasters around the world, like that is on this panel right here, guys that can interview and get to that deeper side of the story. And this is what I think is missing. You get what
Especially
I'm saying?
if your broadcast house has incorporated social media as one of its transmission towers. And this is where radio can help itself and help the artist. If your broadcast house has a robust, active, and very, very tactile kind of social media presence, when you come to Fame FM and I interview you, and that's on YouTube, and that is added leverage. So I think radio can do itself a favor.
It's of a standard.
At this point.
I personally, when I interviewed Alkaline the first time, not to cut you, but when I interviewed Alkaline the first time, he had the black eyes in it. But when I play his music on the radio, me not play a black eyes. I'm playing the songs him. So I appreciate the artist that goes into the studio more than the black eyes. So my questions are going to be directed about your music. And then even then, he sees that, raw, but that brother, I really engage with me about my music. It takes a special person to go into a studio every day.
Does he get that value from YouTube?
I don't think he gets that value from anywhere outside of like radio DJs, to be quite honest, because I don't see it. If I saw it, then cool. But if I don't see it, then that's what I have to talk about.
All right. I want to get back to the kid. So he creates Smoke. But his mission initially is, like you said, to get known. What are the steps he's going to take? How do you create traction by using all of these assets? How do you create a fan base? I think that's one of the things, one of his missions. Create a fan base, create Smoke. How often does he need to put content out there? At what rate? And then moving from where does he go to next?
Right.
Papa Keith.
I believe everything is 10%. So, in this business, we do several things in order to eat. So not only do we do radio, we produce, we promote. So I remember as a promoter, that was my theory. Like everything is 10% and kind of have it where nothing's really more than the other. Because when you have that type of mentality, it really has you more engaged on each part, So if I'm throwing an event, which will be equal to you putting out your music, I would say, okay, radio 10%, Facebook 10%, TikTok 10%, flyers 10%, going to the mom and pop shops and talking to people 10%. All of these things to make 100. So I would say the same thing to, an aspiring artist or a young artist who wants to create that smoke. If you look at everything as 10%, take 10 different things that you could do to promote yourself, and you deal with them as equals. Not saying, I'm going to drop this to make this more important than that. No. Each one of them are equally important, and you do those 10 things, I think you'll have a higher rate of success. Because what I see they go wrong is that they bypass radio, or they bypass the mom and pop stores and put 90% into social media, or 80% into this, because maybe it's instant gratification, maybe it's what their friends are telling them. I have no idea, but that's to me where it goes wrong, and like how you said earlier, you said earlier, all the avenues. So pick 10 avenues and go down them equally.
Mm-hmm. Kerwin, you agree with that?
Yeah, and I would say that to add to what the presenter just said, that Shaggy just showed us a full demonstration of you got to look the part. I mean, the smoke got to come with something else as well. You need to pretty much command that attention. So yeah, we have your music, we're playing it, but then, like you mentioned, a lot of the radio station would have incorporated social media. Like for us, we do a 3-in-1. So we do radio, television, and social media during our interviews, right? So if we're going to be pushing this song and pushing you as an artist, when you come into the studio, you got to look the part. You got to feel the part. Because here, years ago, you could have a good voice or whatever it is. People never see what it looks like on radio. That has been changed now because most radio stations would have incorporated social media aspect of it. So we want you to look the part of the smoke as well, that when you come into the studio, the image sells. This is the artist that we've been pushing, this is who we've been talking about. And secondly is the attitude as well, because we would have known of cases where artists is scheduled to come for an interview at a particular time and then show up an hour later or an hour and a half later, not understanding that radio runs with programming. So you would have been booked for this particular slot that deals with, busing a new artist or whatever the case is, but then you turn up 45 minutes late, which is a different programming that goes into, and then you have people sitting there waiting on you because we want to hear from you, and then you don't turn up, so it leaves a bad taste in listeners' ear as well.
So certain core values have to maintain. Shauni K, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I would say too, as an artist, when you if your goal is to become a professional at your craft, you have to make sure the quality is there first, right? So I think that's the very first step before you even start to present
Good smoke.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So you want to make sure the sound of the music is there. You want to make sure the mixing is good, the levels are good, the mastering is good. So if you even pass it to any one of us here, we could actually play it and it sound good. Because if it sound like trash, you just defeated yourself in an opportunity to be shown and showcased. So first, the quality of the music should be on a certain level, right? And then the imaging at this point, because now, as you said, the visuals kind of have to come along with it, because if we like it, now we're looking you up and we want to see something.
Don't bring nonsense to the broadcast house. Don't put nonsense.
If the food don't taste good, what we doing?
Touch on his point right there also, as far as the quality. That's very, very major, especially, because we do commercial radio. It's not as if we do like community radio station where we can get away with certain things. The quality has to be up there. So now imagine you're playing a song from, say, Drake, Beyonce, then you put in a song from a young aspiring artist, then you put in a song from, let's just say, Rihanna after that. You can hear the difference in the quality and the levels and how they drop and all that. And some of these songs that are coming out nowadays, going out to all the producers out there, especially those mixing and mastering, a lot of the songs that are coming out, like you have to actually, as a DJ or a radio broadcaster, you have to turn the bass down to about like 25% because the bass is so loud that it's overpowering everything. You can't even hear the vocals, you can't hear the highs, you can't hear the mids because it's all bass. So, there's a lot of little things that need to be fixed up in that aspect. And going to his point, when he said about the hand cat them, when I was come to Jamaica, like back in the early times there, whether it be learning about the culture, learning about the music, cutting dub plates, whatever. For instance, a song like Buju Banton, Driver, you'd hear that playing in every bus, every taxi, every stall, every dance, every second on the radio, this, that, and all that. That used to be the social media.
Old school viral.
That's the old social media, but it worked. But now with these artists such as Shauni B said, you know, that, you know, are denying interviews and all that because they're relying on their 1.6 million people on Instagram and all that. They can't even sell the 3,500.
Can I just say,
ahead,
Collin,
Shauni.
though, I like to look at it slightly different. Because everything that you guys have spoken about, for me, is standard issue. Yeah, it's like if you got a kid, you got to be a good father, innit? My thing is about what don't you do? Don't message me and tell me, Shauni, that song I run the place. Oh,
You talk like Jamaica. You talk like Jamaica.
Because I could go online and go and see. Or I can call one of my colleagues them and check. That song I run the place. The minute I find out that it ain't running the place, you get a mark against your name. You get what I'm saying? Don't send me music from your WhatsApp with audio 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because the minute that drops into my laptop, it's lost, it's disappeared.
Let's get back to that kid who now is trying to.
There's a lot more in a Collin.
He's trying to make his way.
Right.
Is a media manager one of the first persons he should serve? Because remember, we're talking about him trying to manage media, exploit it even to his end, to his benefit. Is that one of the first and most important persons that he should arm himself? Both somebody who understands traditional media and social media and Spotify, all the other tools. People are no longer buying from the record shop. They're streaming it. People are no longer going to the nightclub to hear the DJ play the song first. It's on YouTube. The DJ and the YouTube is getting the song perhaps the first time. The consumer is getting the song. Does he need somebody who is a complete nerd or close to? I can really, because as a creative person, that really, you can't manage everything on your own. How important, does he need that person, and how importantly?
I would say before a media manager, there used to be a thing now, and it's kind of extinct, called an A&R. Jeez. So for those who don't know what an A&R is, maybe a younger audience, an A&R was someone at a record label who would play the role of developing the artist. So if you listen to about 90% of the things we spoke about on here, it's about development to getting to a point before you go out. And that has become a lost, art, the A&R. And I think that is extremely important because you as an artist, sometimes you'll have delusion of grandeur. You'll think that you are something that you really are not, unfortunately. And you need someone besides the friends around you hyping you up or your family and friends to really give you that reality check and say, nope, that pants is not going to work. Nope, you shouldn't do that. Nope, go back in the studio and re-record that. This is what we need. And I think that is really what's missing. So even before a media manager, because to me, a media manager is just a person that would put out what you were bringing to them. They're not, some of them, if you're lucky, they could probably help you to develop, a certain look or whatever, but
shouldn't the media manager guide the kid to navigate all of these various tools out there?
I don't think they're capable. I don't think all of them are capable.
But you're saying like build a team. Should he have a team and somebody who knows to do something that he doesn't? That can strategize a little bit while he's the creator and they can kind of manage some of the media movements to get this the most attention. Should he seek that person
Not
out?
many kids, though, starting out can
get a media manager. They can't afford that.
But shouldn't they have a circle with at least relatively competent people in all of these areas? Somebody who understands how YouTube works, how Spotify works, how TikTok works.
I think as a creative in 2023, you got to understand how all of that works. You get what I'm saying?
You the creative?
Yeah, even as a creative, 100%. Like, I'm a radio DJ, but I've got the full Adobe suite on my computer. So I can use Adobe Premiere, Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Audition. It's my business to make sure I may not be a master of all of it, but I can do my thing. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. I think that it's important as an artist in this time right now, because the thing is, Collin, now everybody wants to be the striker. So your brethren that would have been in your team, that would have helped you out with social media and this, that, the other, he wants to be the star as well. So now that he know how to master that, he's like, you know something, let me take the front page. So I feel as individuals, you have to arm yourself with as much knowledge as you can and understand all of the platforms yourself. You have to have an understanding of it all.
If I could just jump in there, I think that the success with social media is because it's very user-friendly, and it really doesn't take a lot to learn how to post and what to post.
Speak for yourself.
They will say you're getting old, Collin.
But at least until you get a competent team, I still feel that there's a great amount of percentage of what you should be able to do. You know what I mean? In terms of getting your content out. So that should not be an excuse. You know, you're living in a time where social media is definitely one of the strongest things. So, like I said, the reason why social media, Facebook, TikTok, and all these YouTube and everything was able to blow up so fast is because it's so easy to use. Like anybody can use it. You know, back then, you have a computer program, you probably have to do a little crash course in it or something. You got to get somebody to help you to navigate. With social media, you do your own thing. It's easy for you to just post and get a caption or whatever it is. And even with predictive, you don't even need to know to, you can just type and, help it out. So I don't think you should have any excuse as it relates to getting your materials out on social media.
Mm-hmm. The youngster who has 3 million views on a song and Spex goes to Australia and play it, and it falls flat. It doesn't appear on any of the sub charts of the Billboard Hot 100 of the Billboard. Is that person using those platforms? How do you account for that 3 million views, but the song still really and truly in the real world has no legs to crawl around and bite people?
I would have loved to ask Chuma that question. I want to know if people are still buying views and how are they buying views in 2023. Is it possible the way that we're seeing it? I see songs trending on the chart. And I love the fact that YouTube has got the trending chart, especially for Jamaica, because you can kind of see what's hot in the streets and all the rest of it. But I don't know how much of it that I can actually believe. Do you get what I'm saying? Because of what happens that when you go to a different territory, the record falls flat on its face. You get what I'm saying? Is the 3 million streams just coming from a particular area as such? So for me, I would have loved to ask that question to you, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's that part where people are buying streams. So, right, 3 million, do we know if this is a real number? We got to question that. The other side, too, is it might just be a cute little song that people like on social media, so it got 3 million streams. But this is not a quality song anybody want to really listen to. You know what I'm saying? They seen it somewhere on their Instagram. They go on YouTube and they looking for it. They listening to the first 60 seconds because, this is the song that had the dance that I like and the stream numbers is going up. If we to play this record in a dance or on a radio in its totality, it can't last. There's no quality in it. So you can see that variation in this age where you'll see these numbers here, but for some reason, I don't know how this song even got that many likes. You know what I'm saying? Because it's tricky now. The numbers fool you.
That's why I said we have to also keep the grassroots in the same way too. Because the same way I said, every single stall, every hand cart, every taxi, every bus, every dance, every club, you have to have the grassroots in the same way too. And when I say the grassroots, I mean like all the top DJs and radio people, them from every territory. So when you go into a territory, you're going to know that it's going to be all right because some of the top DJs and radio people, them have it. And then on top of it, when I go into different territories as a DJ myself, the first thing I do is I turn on the radio, see what I go on, what's hot, what's not, whatever the case is. So I'm not taking someone's career and flopping my career for them.
But that's you, though. The fan base for that kid. What is more important?
Yeah, but the fan base for that kid, they're probably going to be listening to all his favorite DJs and radio people, them, and following the circuit as
because you hear the prevailing argument: kids don't listen to radio nowadays. True or not?
True. They don't
It
listen.
depends. I'm going to say it
therefore,
depends.
I mean, they listen sometimes, but they don't need
how do I
it. They
tell
don't
that
need it like they
youth-
used to.
How do I tell that youth, oi, consider radio in your arsenal of tools?
By show of hands, how many people listen to radio at home? You see?
But the
See
reason
that?
why,
Yo,
I'm,
that's
the
not
reason
even half.
I
you know?
barely
I
listen
hear
to
you, but
radio.
I
That's
guarantee
not even
you.
wondering.
But I guarantee you, when 9/11 went on, or whenever any kind of major event happened in the world, the first thing all these people did was turn into the radio.
That's why I
when they
say-
had their power failure or their phone battery dead, turn on the radio.
But that's
What-
why I say
right.
we've got to get back to the basics
What should
of what
his-
we do as broadcasters and broadcast. We got to make our
What-
radio shows interesting.
What should
for
his
the listener.
priority be, though, that youth who wants to manage media? What should his priority be? His grandfather's old transistor, or there's something in the car, or getting every week a fresh piece of content? Because it seems to me there's a pressure to keep putting fresh content on TikTok. That's the way you stay in the main. What should his priority be? Constantly feeding 20-second bits and pieces of different something to TikTok, or making a great song that radio is going to be playing repeatedly?
Right. Well, you want to make a great song. When I said that people barely listen to radio, they don't have to anymore. It is not the only source of the music they want. However, radio is not going to go anywhere. Radio is going to be here because it's a certain level of professionalism that radio offers as well, right? You know, if you get in your songs on your playlist or all these other places, you can get that the access is beautiful, and we're gonna always go there. But when you get to radio, you know your song busts in a different kind of way, and that's the reason why advertisers still will put money into radio, because that frequency is important. Similar to the pandemic. And in certain spaces, it's like we have Netflix and we have Amazon and we have this, but channel 2, so the main channels are still there, because it's still important to have the basics. So radio's not going to go anywhere.
We're in Jamaica, yeah? And I think some of the stringent rules for radio and broadcasting are over here. I don't have the same kind of rules that you have to abide by.
Exactly.
Especially with like the lyrical
Lucky
content
you.
and all that kind of stuff. You tell me,
Lucky
Collin,
you.
is it relevant in Jamaica right now? Because after the radio commissioning ban, what happened? What did you hear the music change? Because if the music changed, that tells you that radio is still relevant in this country. If it didn't change, they're not even looking at you.
The aim, I think, was not to change music, but was to sanitize content on free-to-air, on licensed broadcast entities. So the Broadcast Commission's objective was never to police the artist and tell him what to make. If there are other platforms out there, then by all means, make your scamming song, your chopper song, your murder music, and put it out there if it's allowed. So I've always found interesting, yeah, well, the youth them not play, so no matter, it not going to change nothing. Well, it changed what the mother and her child heard in the car. So that's what it did. So that their mandate, and I think they tried to say it, but it got lost in the din, was not to tell people that you can make this. It was to tell broadcast, licensed, government licensed broadcast entities that, things that promote certain bad behavior.
But then you have the
can't
mother
play.
listening to...
So that now makes an argument for
Mom is
saying,
listening to Fame.
to the kid, hey, don't discount radio, but feel free to be creative because there are other avenues.
Mom is listening to Fame, but child is listening to whatever in her earpods. Because I know when I'm listening to music in my car, my son has got his earpods in and he's listening to his own
once
thing.
again, what do you tell the young kid who's starting? Which one of the media we need to shape his career towards?
But we got to take some responsibility too.
That's so.
You know what I mean? Because I've also watched radio do some really stupid stuff, you know what I mean? And I've also watched radio not serve the community in the way it should have
Completely.
in our days.
Agreed.
When radio was everything and there wasn't social media, we were like the big boss, right? Not saying any of us personally, because I think all of us here on this stage had a passion for what we did and we really wanted to connect with our people. But I can tell you, at least for me working with iHeartRadio, a lot has changed where we had a lot of opportunities to serve the community, to have that connection, and we were more like bullies. All right? We were more like, but it's true. And so we have to start first with taking a little bit of responsibility for the blow that radio takes, and it's taken now, because when we were on top and when we had it, and I'm not saying, again, us personally, but they didn't treat people right. You understand? And then a lot of DJs was on the take. It was just a lot of bullshit going on. You know what I mean? And so now we're not the shiny apple anymore. We now have to be creative in how we can reel back that audience and their trust. Because these new artists that we're trying to talk about with the smoke and all of that, they don't care, Collin. We can sit here. As a matter of fact, we're at this amazing music conference right now. How many new artists are in here? Put your hands up. It should be packed. With people outside watching it on a screen outside.
Facts.
Like if Usain Bolt was running again. You understand? Based on artists who want to find out secrets from all these people across the world that they've brought here to talk to them. You understand what I'm saying? But these few, give yourselves a round of applause, please, because I'm happy you're here. You know, these are just a drop of, a massive group of people who just don't care. These are the few that do.
I'd like to hear from some of them what value this new media house has for them. Are they just giving away free music for promotion of self, to sell merch, do tours, etc.? Is it just disposable music being put out there to gather attention? Or, how many units does YouTube help you to sell? How does Spotify, how does TikTok help your streaming? Because ultimately, that's what you want to do. How does investing heavily in this
I think what all of that
affect
gives
your money?
you, I think what all of that gives you, and what we give them as well, is a value. And I think this is a problem with Caribbean music overall, is that its influence is weighty, but the monetary side of it is wasted. Terrible. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, but what artist can do with that influence and that hype is to go and get that money. Because once you have the hype, you get the shows, you get the dub plates, you get all of this kind of stuff.
And that's where mastering,
that comes from.
That's where mastering media.
That's where you master the media. But then the problem is within Caribbean music is when the hype get to your head.
You forget where you come from.
Yes. And then you're floating like that balloon that was over America the other day. That's the problem that we've got. Like, the hype is a great thing, but don't make it get to your head. Because once that hype gets to your head, that's when you start discounting man like us that's up on this panel right here.
And then your units go down in sales.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, all of the young artists, there's so many young artists here today that would come up to us and approach us and be like, yo, I need your platform, I need your help, this, that, the other. And I've seen it a million times. And the minute them boss,
then forget about
let me try call one of them.
It was Spex who said it that, Album X's release and snippets of it is on social media, and within a day and a half, 3 million views. The Blinking album dropped. #1 on iTunes, 200 copy. What was that? All of that social media hype and views, it manifests into what in terms of?
It don't. So just like I think what Speck was saying, radio, that's the one golden thing about radio. Radio will sell your music, for sure. All the other stuff, if you think about it, no disrespect to the people here earlier with Spotify and YouTube, they give you 0.0004 on the penny for your spins. You know what I mean? So you would have to even make real money with them, you'd have to have like 20 million spins or 20 million views in order to really make some real money. But with radio, the repetitiveness, the talking about it, the surrounding it with who this artist is, personalizing them. Yo, I got this new one from so-and-so and so. He come from Barbican. Yo, he likes to eat this and that, and check out his joint.
Specs, the artists in Canada, do they still get cheated up by hearing their song for the first time on radio?
Of course, in Canada, especially because in Canada, with my platform, it's the only one in Canada going across all of Canada. So when they come in, they're excited to be there. When they do their interviews, they're doing all their social media stuff and not only promoting themselves as an artist, but they're pushing the radio station, pushing me as a, you know what I mean? So everything, it rolls in one. Then I'm reposting, the radio station's reposting and sharing and this, that, next and the other. So it all works in one tandem. But my thing about this is too, it's one thing when the artist does come in to do this is for all you, especially you young artists and all this. And I learned this, I believe, from Shaggy. You know, I'm big up to Kamar Icon too, because he followed that path and knows how the thing go. But when the artist comes to a radio station and you bring your song and your song's being played on that radio station, all right, the DJ, you know what I mean, Papa Keita say, yo, this is a big tune from Ray, boom, 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 go out and get it. A lot of the artists, their songs aren't on, whether it be on YouTube or iTunes or Spotify or Pandora or Audio Mac. So now when the consumer hears the song, say, yo, that's a good song, man, to go get it, and they go to look for it, it's nowhere to be found. You know what I mean? So one thing, before you put your music out there to the people, to the public, make sure that you have it registered and in all of the downloading stream platforms that you can get them on, so that you're not cheating yourself, so you can actually get the most of the money.
We could go on, but we have to wrap. Suffice it to say, what I'm gathering from this, yes, incorporate, embrace, exploit social media, digital platforms, but don't ignore grassroots, the traditional broadcast house. And the traditional broadcast house could do itself a favor by also incorporating all of these tools so that the artist sees greater value.
True.
You hear them on the radio, and that stuff is then posted. Because I've seen your interviews when you come out here, and people flock to over Helsha, flock to Big Yard, because they know what they get. It's going to be on the radio, it's going to be on BBC's page. So, yeah.
Well, I wish that all of them would remember that afterwards, though, sometimes. Now, I have to be honest with you, like, real talk, like, I think it was Diego that said it, or Tanya that said it, that when you get an asset from one of these platforms, use that asset.
Use it, yeah.
Because if you don't use that asset, my boss is watching while I go on, you know. He's like, rah, so we've done all of this and you're not going to go and repost it. Like, you have to realize that we are your friends 100%, and you have to use us. And the greatest thing for me is the hype thing. I just want to say this to close for myself. You see this hype thing? It's going to mash up our music big time. Don't make it get to your head. I have this running joke with my manager. It's called SNS, Shaggy and Sean Paul. If I message 10 artists today, yeah, I can guarantee you the first 2 artists that will get back to me is Shaggy and Sean Paul.
I was saying the exact same thing.
Grow good.
I was saying the exact, can I just touch on that real quick? Because I was saying the exact same thing like that to somebody earlier today. Now, Shaggy, like anytime, and it's so weird too, because you call Shaggy, Sean Paul, Damian Marley, even Bounty Killer, you know, there's certain major top artists that won't play to call you back, respond back to you, this, that, next, and the other. And then these other artists that haven't really, you know, done as much in the business, no Grammys, no billboards, no AMAs, you know, not even, you know, they feel like, you know, they don't want to get back in touch with you when you're trying to do something for their career.
We'll take some questions, right? Some questions from the audience.
Entitled.
So we're going to start Q&A now.
No questions.
Radio too, you know.
Okay. Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I am a new artist,
And my name is Njeri. That's Njeri.
All right.
Hi, Shauni. I introduced myself to you earlier. But I'd like to say that one thing that, as a young person that has reignited my interest in radio is YouTube. Shauni, I not only get to hear you on the radio, but I get to see the interaction, sometimes live, with my favorite artists from Jamaica. I'm a huge consumer of The Breakfast Club. I know it sounds juvenile, but they often have a range of topics that they discuss, whether it's real estate, business. I think Shaggy was on there once as well, and I always tune in for when the Jamaican artists come to see if they're twanging or whatever they're doing, you know what I mean? And I interact with my brother. So, I mean, I think moving forward is just, again, marrying what we love about radio with the visuals of our TikToks, of our YouTubes, and just really leaning into that. But as well, I'd like to thank you all for helping to push Caribbean music. I know we are... always seems like we're at infancy stage, restarting. But from what my reading, I know that there is an uptick, and then there is a plateau sometimes. But you know, we artists are working hard with the new platforms, and we thank you and respect what you've done for Jamaican music as well as Caribbean music.
All right. I think I said it in my opening ramble that broadcast houses would be best served if all of these tools, TikTok, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, whatever you want to call it, is now used as one of their transmission sites. You know, has to be one of your transmitters.
YouTube bossed me. I ain't gonna tell a lie. YouTube, give me my third chapter of my life as such in my career. YouTube bossed me wicked.
I forgot to talk to Linders through it.
When, like, I think it was about 10 years ago when I started to come back to Jamaica to do the radio programs and the live sessions and everything, my manager actually just said to me, visualize everything. Make sure you visualize everything. And that has been that thing that has given me, like, the wind underneath my sails. But it always comes back to doing good radio. Because that's similar to what you're saying here, Keith, is like that 10%. Even though the YouTube is more than the 10% for me, but that's what drives my radio show. And without that, I probably wouldn't even be on the radio right now. And then it's about utilizing that platform, bringing through the younger artists onto the radio program. And it's about creating content and making sure that your radio program has something different. Because I'm similar to just an artist. If you're going to sing a song one way, I have to sing a song in a different way. I had to find my USP, and that was what my USP was by utilizing YouTube.
You know what opened at least 3 of us' eyes? Twitch.
Even all that now.
Being on that platform, Twitch, was real eye-opening. Anyway, more questions.
Hi. My name is Manka Percante. I'm a journalist. I work for Rolling Stone. And my question is kind of along the lines of where this conversation is going now, because I really like what was said earlier about radio being able to translate to fandom that is like lucrative because of the repetition, but I think that still depends on the listener going out of their way to be a consumer of an artist, right? And that can be a toss-up, especially in an era where young people, as has been acknowledged, are not necessarily listening to like radio, traditional radio at the same rates. So my question is, if you guys could describe in like details, like specifically, like what are you doing to extend or expand upon the relevance of your medium? And like what responsibility do radio broadcasters have to evolve in like our social and technological like landscape today?
I think a part of it is going back to core classic broadcasting practices. A part of it too is not playing that song as at the speed of TikTok or for the duration of TikTok. Radio should really and truly give the listener a full representative sample of the song. That's one. So going back to quality broadcast practices, not just have a man a juggle and a scream and a shout and whatever. I mean, there can be specific programs for that. The other part too is, like we've been saying, use all these new broadcast tools to supplement what people hearing coming through that speaker, either in the transistor radio, which no longer exists, or through the car, or on that radio up on your phone. Because we've become such a visual world. You just don't want to hear the DJ scratch or hear him mix. You want to see it happen. Radio, broadcast houses, and we have to go rain for all our station them. Oi, we need to have visuals.
I go IG live. Every Thursday I go live on my IG. And the reason why I do it as well, you have to use the platforms that's available to you. And then we see all the artists say, come over there on a Thursday to see if their song is going to get played. And then they do a screenshot of their video, and then it goes up on their page and extends my reach. Sometimes I tell the people, I call it my village on a Thursday. The people in the village.
And they know radio.
See Sean Paul in the village.
They know radio is playing their song, and it makes them feel good about radio and themselves.
I tell some of the audience that is on there, screenshot that video for Shaggy and send it to Shaggy. Because you may get your name on Shaggy's page as well. So it gives them that incentive. So I use everything that's around me in my kitchen to cook the food.
I think it's our responsibility as broadcasters to be able to do that, to find these different mediums, what makes sense of what's popular.
Extend our reach.
Because that's for as broadcasters. As broadcasters, yes. So for the last 3 years or so, I put all of my interviews on Instagram. And at first I was skeptical about it because I was like, I want them to come here to get it. So now I'm understanding, no, I just have to make it as easily accessible to the masses as possible. So I'll put it on YouTube, I'll put it on my blog page for the radio station at iHeart, and I'll put it on my Instagram at Papa_Keith.
So we are mastering media ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, for Hot 97 too, we take the visual component and the social media aspect extremely, it's very valuable and important. We don't sleep on that monster. As the morning show, the Breakfast Club, in New York City, which is Envy and Charlemagne, they was on that first, where Hot 97, we slept on that. We don't need that. You know what I'm saying? We do radio. This is terrestrial radio. And you see where the Breakfast Club is. So we stepped our game up, and there's a whole digital department that deals with the tweets and the short clips and the Instagram and the TikToks and making sure that consistently every day we put in our content. When we start our morning show, there's cameras running through the whole thing. Whatever is the high point or an interview, we cut that up, have that pushed out same way, because we know the younger audience as well wants that visual component, and we've created that marriage. It's extremely important.
I agree with you 100%. And just, change it just a little bit for just 1 second. Just think of like Instagram, the social media platform, as everything international, outernational, outergalactical. But you see, radio is local. It's localized, and that's why I say radio will never ever dead, because it's localized. When you want to know your traffic, what the weather is, certain things happening in your area and all that. So you need the two of them to balance out. So just thought I'd put that out there.
Instagram puts you in Australia, though.
That's right.
And in Spain. So too does YouTube, and that's the beauty of incorporating these things. So Fame FM is not only in Jamaica, but there may be some kid in Australia who follows the page, who's watching me on a Saturday morning do my gig. So yeah, radio is best served not being afraid of new media, but incorporating it.
Yeah, greetings, IMC. Greetings, IMC. I'm Wisdom, aka Jawiz. I just want to pick up all the panelists for them contribution to our music as Caribbean people. I just want to make a few, 2 or 3 quick points. And just to echo some of the sentiments made by Shauni B and Shauni Kulture, more specifically. I remember about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I saw advertised something on Shauni B program that had to do with people submitting songs that, were done without auto-tune and thing. And so I managed to submit my song and it got played and featured. And the essence of what I'm saying is the creativity behind the programming made a big difference that gave me an opportunity to be a part of his program in that moment and on that occasion. And I think we're speaking to the relevance of radio as it relates to us as entertainers and the different audiences that were involved, because you spoke about record sales and all of that. And in a sense, I'm a little bit lost where that's concerned, because honestly, I think that the industry for the last 10 years has evacuated that, and we're now in the age of streams. So I mean, regardless of how much, you know, YouTube translates to what you classify as X amount of record sales, I really think that what we're looking for is really tour. I mean, entertainers want to go on tour. So we want to get them out on YouTube or on social media, generally speaking. Or if radio is willing to give us that support, we can get on tour. So essentially, I've always been afraid of going to some radio stations. And I want to hear your feedback on this, because here's the thing. A couple of years ago, I went to a very popular radio station after performing somewhere, and a DJ said to me, "What? You wicked, my youth. Come check me." And I was there like 2 hours before the time, waiting in the parking lot. Have all of my songs, them, everything, CDs, everything. Meet to the person, get them. And none of the material was played once. Now, this is not the question of whether or not the material was good, because it was given the endorsement before I went to the radio station. So when I show up now, on time, and with the stuff, what are we talking about as people?
You sure he wasn't trying to finesse you for some money? That would sound like to me.
And guess what? I never want to say that. I never want to talk about it.
So here's what I'm going to say to you. On a daily basis, I get DM'd for Shauni. Oh, you promote. You mean, how do I promote? What kind of program you run for promotion? I.e., how much you charge? I've never charged ever a day in my life to play a record. Ever. It goes against everything that I believe about in music. I went and bought records at least $150 a week or a record every week, mortgage money. So for me to take money to play music
points to the fact that radio has sins to atone for. Yeah,
man.
But here what is though, Collin.
I'm evidence of what Shauni B is saying.
If an artist is taking up payola on his head,
he's not.
You take that on your own head, my brother, because I ain't gonna down talk any DJs that do take payola, because that could be for whatever financial reasons that they do whatever they do. Yes, I'm on BBC Radio. I'm in the UK. I'm very well paid. I can't pretend about that. I don't know what a Jamaican DJ may do. I don't know what wages he's on over here, etc., etc. You know, understand? But for me, the minute you go down that road of you giving money for your music to be played, you are fooling yourself, because you don't know whether your music is getting played on merit or not.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a massive problem that we've got right now in Caribbean music. That there is a lot of, let's talk God's honest truth, there's a lot of pay for play that's going on, and I think that has really dropped the standard of this music. You get what I'm saying? Even now you hear it when you go to dance, the money pull up them in a dance, this, that, the other. Half of the songs that you hear out on the street, you will never ever hear anywhere else. Like, we really have to stop this, because it's mashing up our music, a music that I love so much. But you can't just blame the DJs. You have to blame the artists them as well. It's become something that is just, it's part of the business now. Like, I could show people DMs, the DMs that I get. It's like a matter of fact that, yo, Shauni, money I run. You get what I'm saying? So for me, you can't program my thing, because me as a DJ, as a broadcaster, my integrity means so much to me. That's
and I ain't losing my job for you.
People tune in to hear when me I go play. And for me to throw away that integrity just for some money, like, I'm giving away my life right there. So I would say the same to any artist. Like, stop, especially now, because there's so much music out there. At least 100, 200 artists a week is doing pay for play. And if you get a radio show filled with pay-for-play music, by the end of a month, half of your listeners are gone. So you lose your listeners. You don't even have the platform that people are going to end up wanting to come to you to play for. It's a route to disaster for me in 2023.
I'm sorry also that happened to you, brother, because that's what I was talking about earlier, where we have to do better. You know what I mean? That was a horrible example, a horrible experience that you had with radio. And, you know, although we had nothing to do with it, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry that you had to have that experience, because we need to do better than that.
Question, so when you did go to that radio station that day, 2 hours earlier and all that, did you show up with like a bag of man and, you know, everybody bun them high grade and make up one bag of knives and other people them business and all that? Because all those things play a part same way too. How you come to the station and represent yourself at the station, who's with you at the station, representing you at the station, all that stuff plays a part. I won't call the artist, but there was an artist that came to our radio station in Toronto. And they were on time. They came with about 16, 17 man. You know what I mean? And it's not as if this person was a manager, road manager, driver. It's just one bag of man groupie. And man, them are crushing up them weed in the studio. And, you know, man are smoking our studio with all the cameras around the place and this and that and all that.
Well, Spex,
they were asked to leave.
Spex, first things first. You see, in Jamaica, most of the radio stations, you can't hardly get past the gate, much less for going there with a bag of people. Me just trot by myself. You understand? Me reach there early, on time, everything, excited with me make sure print up, do some CDs and card and everything ready and show up. You understand? That's my responsibility. But when we reach, I
was going to say at the same time, I have to defend my broadcasting as well. Because sometimes artists approach us with this sense of entitlement that we must play your record.
No.
That's a dangerous thing, because sometimes, you know, your team, your family, your friends, the public is not being real with you. We are the ones that have to be real with you and be like, brother, that song that don't make it to the.
Well, you know what, Shauni?
You're approaching us with that sense of entitlement that, yo, me an artist, you a DJ, you have to play this and bust new artists, no?
But you know what, Shauni, here what? There were approaches. Yeah, man, give me a sec. There were approaches. I used to carry my stuff to radio stations and enter them into the library. See? That's what I used to do first. Then I stopped going to radio stations to do that, because I realized, say, the song them not play. If them play, them might play once, but them not really play. Then somebody, I got said to me, say, yo, come check me. That's when I went.
Money program that. Any man tell you come check me, dog. That have money. Because you could have emailed the song to him. You get me? But he want the money in him hand.
Bring a thing.
New inspiration.
Check. Yeah. Blessings again. UGDS the name. We just want to pick up the whole panel. For giving us some insights on the radio and how it works and, you know, the importance of radio.
Bless.
Secondly, we just really want to ask a question pertaining to young artists and how we can bridge the gap. Like, do you guys have, I know Shauni B been doing it for a minute, but me just say, overall, is there much implementation of getting young artists out there? Like, you know what I mean? A specific... Let me geared towards getting music out towards.
Let me speak to that. I've always maintained that there's not a place at a table for young artists, old artists, any artist. There's a place at the table for top-notch, high-quality music. Shabba Ranks said, DJ ears cock up when them hear boom rhythm. You bring a good song.
All right.
Hold on. You bring a good song. No matter how evil or devious that DJ is, he wants his listener to hear him playing a quality song.
Yeah,
if the song is a good song, we are irresistibly drawn to it. True. And you don't have to call me back. You don't have to check. You're going to hear it on the radio. You are going to hear it on the radio. If the song lukewarm and tepid, but you see, most artists are convinced from the get-go. Are the bodies thing this? And you better agree with it. And when you hear an honest feedback that, oi, this is going to fizzle and pop. Vexation, attitude, carry feelings, point finger.
Well, you're a hater.
I'll tell you something, yeah. I'll tell you this. I don't know if the rest of you guys would agree, but when it comes to being a DJ and music, we have an ego. My ego is big when it comes to music. I want to be the first for bossa artists. I want to know, say, I play a song before Specs. I want to know, say, I find a song where none of them never find.
Yeah.
And the greatest way of doing that is with a new artist as well. So I know that all of these guys up here probably got the same ego as us, as me. When it comes to music, it's all about quality music.
Well, and just to add to that, I took the privilege of I have a new video out. I slid in y'all DMs meanwhile I was here. It's called It's a Party Vibe. So just give me back a DM if,
you see where
if
Shaggy
it could
start?
A
Shaggy
It's a Party Vibe.
Are you started, you know, Shaggy?
I just slid in y'all DMs, but meanwhile you're here on stage.
Right. That's smart. You're doing the right thing. Keep it up.
Manners and respect again.
And also thing, as to what Shauni was saying too, as broadcasters and all that too. Remember, we're in the business of radio. It's a business, you know. These are our radio station. I said they're commercial radio stations, so they're paying millions of dollars. Some of them paying even more than millions per month on salaries and equipment management, this, that, and next, and the other. So and licensing fees, all these things. So when we're doing the radio, and as Shauni said, it's our ego too. But a part of our ego also includes a thing called tune-out factor. We cannot afford, as broadcasters that play on commercial stations or even community stations that are, you know, funded by people buying ads and all these things, we cannot afford to play your song that's not mixed and mastered properly, and it's not even radio edited properly, because we can't afford for someone to tune out and go to another station, because if they go to another station, they may not come back to our station. That's loss of revenue and all these things. So you guys just got to do the right thing and make sure your thing's mixed, mastered, you're confident with it. And as I said, when it gets on the radio, make sure that it's on the streaming platforms so people can buy it at the same time.
Yeah. And just to follow up real quick on what he's saying is that apart from, you know, radio competition, we also have social media competition as well. So the competition is 10 times more than it used to be before. All right, the end user at the end of the day is the people with the power. We're not the people with the power, because someone is listening to radio, they don't like what they hear, they switch, they turn off, you know, so.
And to add back to his point again now too, because when he says that thing, they might tune out all that same way too. You have to remember, you see reggae and dancehall music, it influences all music in the world. So someone could tune out of our station and tune it to somewhere else and get something that might be like reggae or dancehall and all that same way too, because, you know, that's just how it goes. So we just got to be authentic and real and keep our thing the right and proper way, make sure it's mastered, it's clean, high quality, so that there's no tune-out factor, so it benefits both parties.
I was at Shaggy's panel yesterday, and something came up about radio. I thought it was you. That was so good, and I want to bring it back up real quick before we close today. He said he came into town, he could not find a dancehall station, right? And they mentioned there was 31 different stations here in Jamaica. And when I come to Jamaica from Miami, I want to turn on the station and listen to all what's hot and all the dancehall songs and stuff like that. So that's another part of it that's a problem too with the radio, is just being supportive of your own music here. You know what I'm saying? And I know, but you know, like they said, the guy said to have 31 stations and only 4 of them play above 50% of reggae dancehall music. That's a huge problem.
And then Keith, Jamaica complains about the UK and other places playing Afro beats over dancehall, and how we're losing this, that, the other. Listen, Jamaica needs to do better for Jamaica, 100%.
And that's why I want to ask Collin, as a Jamaican radio broadcaster, are you guys required to play a certain percentage of Jamaican music, or local music as you call it? Because for us in Canada, we're required to play a minimum of 33% of our music, of Canadian music.
Same thing in New York. Same thing
I
in New
can
York.
speak
We
for,
have to bust New York
I
artists.
can speak for Fame FM, Hits 92 FM. Hits is completely local, 100%. Fame is 50% minimum dancehall and reggae. And it's only because you can't have 6 or 7, well, you could have 6 or 7 area FM, because Hits is basically the same model, local music, but being a commercial station, you offer variety. But each show is scheduled and rostered and programmed for at least every other half hour is local music.
Is there a playlist that you guys
we
work
do.
off of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You see, because with my station in Toronto, Canada, it's so funny to be in Jamaica and to say this, but we're mandated in Canada to play 33% Canadian, but we're also mandated to play 33% of world beat music, and that includes Canadian reggae and dancehall and Afro and all that stuff, yes. But when you turn on our station, if they play 10 songs on my station, only 2 or 3 of them are going to be like hip hop and R&B and all that. Because my station is we have to play world beat music. That's what our license is for. So to all you artists out there, you can holler at me, and I'll send you my email address and all that. But
we're talking about this now, and I think maybe the time has come for a national consensus. All radio stations, at minimum 50% of each show should be. There shouldn't. Nobody should be listening for more than a half hour before you hear something Jamaican. Maybe, and it's competition. But maybe if that was one universal aspect of
Not just
our
Jamaican,
broadcasting
but
policy,
reggae. This is the heartbeat of reggae music. And when I look out into the global space right now, I see reggae struggling. You get what I'm saying? And if it don't start off from the source here, we're going to see this thing kind of just fade away slowly, slowly, slowly. I think that we're all happy to see Kabaka Pyramid with a real authentic reggae album, moving as a proper Rasta man that never lean or bow out or whatever, hold it down culturally for Jamaica as well. Jamaica really needs to start supporting its own in that manner, because I'm going to keep it real. I feel that I come to Jamaica and find more reggae artists than Jamaica find reggae artists for itself. That there's a lot of reggae artists that start the journey over at BBC and not over here. Like factually, Chronic's boss at Kenya before him even boss over here, sir.
It's almost like Bob Marley.
And really to bring it back home to the point as well, the 4 ladies that I've received the most impact with, Leela, Savannah, Jacilise, and Naomi Cowan, these are 4 young artists that played the radio game very well. They stayed in contact with me. We exchanged time, space, music, all that good stuff. They believed in me, I believed in them, and now we have that result. You master media in that way.
Right. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right.
I can ask a question. Could I see the hands of all the artists that are in here? Okay. Producer, I'm saying on. All right. Because the amount of knowledge being kicked up here right now, it would be really sad for it to be falling on deaf ears. It'd be really, really sad for artists not to be hearing what's going on. I've been screaming exactly what they've been saying forever since. Say, yo, you can't just give them the tools. They can't make miracles out of the shit that you're giving them. If you're giving them shit that is just whack, them not gonna play it. And you can't vex them for play it. If you send me something, what you send me? Say, you send me to do something that I did, Shauni B.
I sent him a message, and I said it, you wasn't even in here. I said, I have this SNS thing in it, Sean Paul and Shaggy.
Exactly.
The 10 artists, Sean Paul and Shaggy is the first ones to reply.
Him send it to
asked
me,
him,
boom.
Can you get Sting to do a voice note for me for my Bob Marley show? And he replied straight away.
Yeah.
Sting, you know? Like
and I hit Sting, and he's in Dubai, and he's going to do it for you. So I got you.
Thank you, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
But you can't wait.
Sting of the police.
No, wait. You can't wait for nobody at all. The minute you have your thing, them, and you have to give them the tool where they need. Attitude. Right? You have to give them the tool where they need so that them can go there and go deal with it. And don't be scared. I hear people don't see us. So when my boy I sing a little while and come down like a rap style, I'm gonna say, yo, man, I rap. I rare man of this, or man of that. Don't be scared of hybrids. Hybrids is what shift culture. That's what it does. You can sit on, I'm gonna look at me and say, yo, but I want to keep it real. You can't keep it real, I keep it real broke. Because if it's a ceiling, you ain't gonna make no fucking money. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to cross it over and go through. See, and I've shows. You don't have to bust here first. No, you're wrong, because I never bust here first. See, and many artists never bust here first. You know the first record played against for me? Boombastic. Right? Boombastic with Mavis. Right? The only other person who played before that was my boy from Store Love. What's his name? Rory. Rory played there, and he played down at House of Leo, and it bust. And you know why it never released? Because it never even, we never have to put it out as so. Sean Paul tune them, some of them bust a foreign first and then go back. Him just tell you, say, Chronics it bust out. Which part is him bust?
Kenny and bust.
It don't have to bust here, brother. It global. When you're depend on the phone, it's the world.
I remember sir, Canada bus, it wasn't me for you too, and Senator Diamond.
Well, that was actually Hawaii, brother. I'm sorry. That's documented, but yeah.
All right.
Even though Canada is one of those markets that almost every Shaggy song that I've put out from the beginning of my career has been a hit there, right? And I must say it's been a very, very strong market for me, even more than England.
That's because you did the route. You did all the television.
But I went to Newfoundland. Who the fuck goes to Newfoundland?
Not even me.
Anybody from Canada, sir? You know in Newfoundland there? And that's how they make saltfish. Am I lying?
Codfish.
Am I lying? We national dish. Make a Newfoundland. And I went there. Nobody know they there. And up there cold.
There's a place called
Blackville. I'm get up 6 o'clock in the morning and go to them radio, go to them television, and then in the night, me go to them club.
And Shaggy, there's a place called Blackville out there, I think, and if you go there, you're probably the only black thing out there. Real talk.
Real deal. They used to have a thing we call regional radio. Does anybody know what regional radio is? Shauni, you know what regional radio is?
Yeah.
Regional radio is, in England, there are radio stations that are all around in the outskirts of England. Them part of England, where the people them talk English and you can't understand it because you talk English. Because you can't talk like talk. You can't understand a word of talk.
It's not that bad, but yeah.
Something like that. I'm just saying, it's that English that is it Cockney?
The Cockney is London, but then you got the smaller cities. You may go Coventry, you may go Liverpool, Birmingham, Manchester, Bristol. And what it is yeah, in the BBC we got regional radio stations all around the country.
Yes.
And what Shaggy is going to tell you, but I will tell you on his behalf is that he will go Radio 1, that is the main station, and then I'll drag him out of Radio 1 and make him come to 1 extra. But then he'll go and do regional radio, which is much smaller,
tiny
niche audiences.
Tiny.
And that's him.
But you're not telling them the next part. That them drive there some 5-hour drive.
Yeah.
I'm in a car for 5 hours. I go out there so go do one little bean in radio station out there.
Little radio station.
And that's back then. Now you could do it by what? ISTN lines?
ISTN or
right.
Zoom.
But them time they were never. When I did Top of the Pops, I trained me tech. I was on the fucking tube. I went to Top of the Pops, some of them, and them said the biggest thing, oh, dancehall has never been on Top of the Pops. It was the biggest thing I'm there. So I trained me take go there. I mean, you know what I talk about.
Shepherd's Bush.
And after I bust the next step, I 3 times I did depend it for that one song.
Easy, Shaggy.
But what are they? You see, after the first one, I say, oh, I do like a idiot TV show. I'm not do it already. Poor me never know how important it was. So the next time, Greensley give me a car still, so it never so bad. So I never take the train the next time. But the point I'm trying to make is we as artists, please, part of why we're 5% of the market share, and it's not a conversation because we're at 5% of the market share, is because of the level of music. What they're saying about they want music that are mixing, that when they turn to your music, it doesn't drop. Please, master your craft. If you're an engineer, master your craft. If you're a producer, master your craft, right? Don't afraid to do hybrid records to break into other other vibes. As long as you keep the soul of it, right, and the culture of it, you still are gonna be. It's still music. Them say, out of many one people, out of many one music. And I we that. See, thank you for the panel. Thank you for everything that I say. Come here, hearing and I watch, you know. Yes.
And can I just say something real quick too? Point from what Shauni was saying about that accessibility. When you have artists such as like the Shaggy and the Sean Pauls and the Damian Marleys and all that that are accessible to us as radio people and to the media and all that, it makes so much of a difference. I remember the very first time I heard Shaggy's when he was doing Spice's album that got the Grammy nomination with Shaggy, Sean Paul, and Spice. I called Shaggy and I said, Shaggy, me need that pan dub plate. I didn't know how I was going to do it. These are two Grammy award-winning artists and Spice is the hottest queen of the dancehall thing and all that. And Shaggy responded back to me. And I said, yeah, I forget one for Shauni B too because, you know, we have to look out for us.
And then I forgot Big Sean.
You know, but within not even, what, 2-3 days?
2-3 days, that was done within 24 hours.
All of them recorded
all 3 of them.
And sent over to us just like that. You know how hard it is to coordinate 3 different artists to get them to do 3 different things in 3 different parts of the world and all that? But because he valued the radio and valued what we do and knew how important it was to create that buzz, you know, he did it, and that's all I'm saying. Sometimes you have to go the extra edge, just like Kamar Icon, as I said earlier. You know, when he first came out, the man sent me the song, sent me the dub, sent me the radio jingles, make sure to call me, make sure, you know, if he needed anything else in order to make, and look at him now. You know what I mean?
Do you know what's crazy about that Sean Paul record with Spice and Shaggy? Shaggy actually got vexed with me because I couldn't do the premiere for him. And I had to sit down at home and think, Diamond selling Shaggy is vexed with little old me because I couldn't get to do the premiere because I wasn't on air. And that's to show the value of radio DJs to him. So that's why I respect him. And honest to God, I'd rather none of us be up here and Shaggy be up here by himself, because that's a man that has mastered media to the point that you put a camera in front of Shaggy, he's got that Shaggy smile.
Yeah. And then the voice, and you go straight, no patois, yeah, you know, that's straight.
That's how you master the media.
I gotta run, gentlemen.
And I just want to add that, just remember, young artists, that DJs, we're your friends, we're not your enemies, okay? And sometimes we do get it wrong sometimes, because sometimes one of my DJs is feeling a song and I'm not feeling it, and then sometimes you come along, you know? So when we give you our opinions, it doesn't mean that you know, we don't like you. All right, we're your friends.
Prove us wrong. So please prove us wrong. That's what you got to do. Prove us wrong. I don't mind being proven wrong.
And real quick, and for the friends them of the artists them, the friends, family members, loved ones, whatever you call it, you got to be honest with the artists them too. Don't yes man the thing if it don't sound good, if them not say the right thing. You know what I mean? No, just tell them it not work. Reverse
I was just talking about that the other day. Yeah, just make sure it tastes right. Make sure it's right. You don't want to, if you have a pot of food, you don't want to say, oh, taste this, make sure it's good. And you know it needs salt, and you're like, yeah, that's good. Nah. Tell them, yo, it needs something. You know what I'm saying?
Honest ears.
It needs something, make it right.
You see what happens when you have radio DJs on a panel, we'll chat all day long.
Surround yourselves with honest ears, for real. All right.
Salutes.
Put your hands together for our Mastering Media panel. Captain Collin Hines, Shauni B, Shauni Kulture, Papa Keith, Kerwin Bollers, Spex D Boss is the boss.